heartbreaking that this was Hall's last real go at wrestling.
I'm not gonna lie, I really hate seeing wrestlers like wrestling in their glory days and realizing they just can't go no more.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's up?
Yo, what up? It's Amaje back here with another video. Today we're about to be getting into a video by WrestleMania. The video is going to be on 10 wrestlers that returned out of shape. Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know anybody that returned out of shape. Oh, wait. It rings a bell. That Drew McIntyre segment with Sheamus. When Sheamus returned, he returned and came back a little bit fat, but it's Sheamus. He can get shredded quick. And then he said it was banger after banger. Then he said it's burger after burger. That to me was like the most funniest shit ever. But like, hey man, let's just get into this.
Number 10, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho has always been in shape, never podgy but never outright jacked either. Jericho's in-betweener look offered him the unique position of wrestling as well as the junior heavyweight greats he encountered during his travels through Japan and Mexico and the leaner, tougher adversaries that he came across in ECW, WCW and WWE. You'll notice the lack of mention of All Elite Wrestling there, and it's by design. In AEW, Jericho's body had declined to such a degree that it became a subject of mass social media mockery, particularly as it pertained to one viral clip of AEW's first world champion performing at a Fozzy gig. Jericho's weight gain, though initially concerning, was done with purpose. He explained to GQ that he wished to bulk up to impress the Japanese audiences. In 2018, I left WWE and I went back to New Japan for the first time in 20 years to headline the Tokyo Dome. While I was over there, I realized that the Japanese appreciate bigger, more blockier physiques. To them, it equates to a more powerful main event presence. So when I came back the next year to headline again, I pulled a De Niro in Raging Bull, and I gained some weight just to be blockier, and it worked. Thankfully in 2020...
That's crazy. Hey, if anybody can do it, it's Jericho. This nigga Jericho always has some type of amazing ass switch. And he always has some amazing ass like type of like thing where he comes back and he just keeps innovating, bro. So I fucks with that, bro. At least he knows when to switch off and you know think it's a good idea. But like a lot of fans are gonna like fucking like dunk on him no matter what. Because I mean, I did see his figure was a little bit crazy. The chest. And like, I thought it was something wrong, but like, just to know this story behind this, that's pretty cool.
25, Jericho has gotten his weight back under control, becoming more jacked than he's ever been to the extent that many believe that he'd gotten ab implants. Number 9, Triple H. A Triple H should not be in a list such as this. He's always been ripped, superficially or otherwise, and this catapulted the game into his natural fitting role as WWE World Champion. Again, and again, and again, and well, you get the picture. He was one of the most jacked superstars of the time. For a period of 2004 though, Triple H wasn't even the most jacked guy in his own stable. He wasn't in terrible shape, his pecs retained their prominence and his traps were just about more towering than those of Randy Orton, his then ally in Evolution, but the issues arose when comparing the King of Kings to his other Evolution partner Batista. At the time, the animal was being groomed as WWE's next big thing, the next Royal Rumble winner, the next WrestleMania headliner, the next World Heavyweight Champion, the next Triple H. He was jacked too, possibly more than Triple H had ever been, but he wrestled an atypical style for a man of his size, matching the usual power offense with the speed and agility he packed into his spears, resulting in Triple H looking almost disheveled next to him. Between 2002 and 2004, Triple H experienced a dramatic drop in muscle mass.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, those performance enhancers, bro. Yeesh. Like niggas to this day will like say they don't take those steroids, nigga. These niggas took those steroids back in the day, and when those shits wore off or you come back from like some sort of injury, bro, it looks bad because like 2002 Triple H was jacked as fuck, bro, and then he comes back looking a little pudgy. I'm not trying to like talk about people's figures, but like it's obvious, bro. Come on now.
2002 peak, he had a notably bulky, chiseled physique, but by 2004, that all changed. And this was due to various factors such as a groin injury he suffered in 2003, which made it almost impossible to work out on a regular basis. Despite still being physically capable in the ring, the visual contrast between those 2 years is often cited as evidence of how quickly a star can lose their muscle. Number 8. Dustin Rhodes.
Jesus.
Sadly, the struggle with substance abuse is often accompanied by the struggle with weight loss, as has been evident throughout Dustin Rhodes' topsy-turvy road back to sobriety. The former Goldust went into depth on his dealings with addiction on Jay Glaze's Unbreakable podcast.
I had him on the other side with 16 years clean and sober, and that's amazing to me to say that. Pretty soon, my world is a mess. I've gained weight. I don't think I have any problems, and I'm 60 pills in a day, half a gallon of vodka a day.
60 pills in a day? I'm amazed at people not passing away. I don't know if it's like combined with like their athleticism or like their history of just, I don't know. I never like saw somebody taking like 60 pills a day. I reacted a long time ago to like wrestlers' addictions and everything. But like this kind of surprised me. Fucking 60 pills a day.
An 8-ball every 3 days of cocaine, and it was just a mess. And I didn't give a shit about anything, anybody, nothing. I didn't give a shit about life. I tried to kill myself twice.
Although Dustin's weight struggles have been rampant throughout his first stint as Goldust in the WWF, it was at its most prominent when he portrayed Black Rain in TNA. The costume was ill-fitting, his face had rounded out more than a beach ball, and he struggled to go through the motions of even the most basic of wrestling moves. It was painstakingly embarrassing.
Okay, now I see it. I didn't like really see like weight on Goldust because he like wears like a whole bodysuit, but like I see it now.
Embarrassing both for Dustin and for TNA to have allowed him to continue as he was. Number 7. Scott Hall. Now at the height of his career as Razor Ramon, Scott Hall was a physical specimen of a man. He had the look, the charm, and the desire to go far in the industry, regardless of WWE's and later WCW's glass ceiling of mid-card booking for him. But then TNA happened. The TNA, you see, didn't care in 2010. They shafted company do-gooders and rising attractions in favor of a slew of golden oldies because apparently Val Venus and the Nasty Boys drew a higher dime. They didn't need to care that Scott Hall was incapable of pulling himself together for a pay-per-view appearance because, hey, he was over a decade ago. Sadly, his weight wasn't the real issue. He was still struggling with substance abuse at the time, though it was very clear in every appearance he made throughout his 5 months with the company that he was uncomfortably overweight. He appeared swollen in face and wore an exceptionally baggy jumper while wrestling. It was really heartbreaking that this was Hall's last real go at wrestling. Number 6. The Undertaker.
I'm not gonna lie, I really hate seeing wrestlers like, from them like wrestling in their glory days, like all jacked and shit, and then like you see them like, realizing they just can't go no more. It's just really frustrating, bro, because like, that's a legendary wrestler that you respect, and it's just really sad to see all of that like come into fruition. And then this is his like last actual run. I really wish it wasn't, bro. I wish he had a chance to redeem himself. I always say that in like a lot of wrestling videos because I actually want the wrestler to redeem themselves.
Now, oftentimes, heavier set wrestlers will, for the lack of a better term, hide their bodies behind their attire. Giants like Andre the Giant and The Big Show adorned a singlet, while Kevin Owens forged an unfathomable career without removing his t-shirt. The Undertaker sits at the head of the table, a man renowned for his indelible taste in wrestling attire, Survivor Series 2000 notwithstanding. The Taker has regularly constrained his torso, but there was a noticeable shift in his clothing strategy when he returned from his pectoral injury in 2000. Emerging at Judgment Day, the dead man famously transformed into the American Badass, moving away from a singlet to a more loose-fitting clothing to accommodate his weight gain. Depressingly, while The Undertaker's body mass went up, his match quality went down. Television, pay-per-views, and house shows all showed mediocre effort, and there isn't much worse than his and Kane's unforgiven 2001 clash with WCW's Chronic. But speaking of Kane, number 5, Kane. Now, The Undertaker wasn't in shape in 2001, but Kane certainly was. But then again, The Undertaker was in shape in 2000.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Kane, throughout a lot of stints of his career, bro, this nigga got in shape, got out of shape, got in shape, got out of shape. Bro, like, during the Authority, era, like, this nigga was in shape. I'm not gonna lie. But in the early 2000s, bro, this nigga was jacked, bro. Like you gotta give that to that nigga. That was like respect right there. I don't know if like the weight gain come with the monster gimmick, but like the shit was crazy.
2018, but Kane certainly wasn't. That is probably the most apt way in which to assess Kane and The Undertaker's association as the Brothers of Destruction. Indeed, in 2018, Kane's body was failing him. The Big Red Machine was truly the Big Red Machine. The top half of his singlet was one errant strike away from tearing, with a string of images from Crown Jewel 2018 where he and Taker infamously collided with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, positioning Kane in the most unflattering of pictures. And nobody can blame Kane here. He was no longer a full-time athlete. Crown Jewel marked his final match until his Royal Rumble resurgence in 2021, and he had to endure the inexplicably more tiresome task of governing Knox County, Tennessee as mayor. It was only natural that the weight would pile on. It is, however, nigh on impossible to promote yourself as this imposing demonic monster when you're built like an out-of-training Paddy the Baddy. Number 4, Mick Foley. No wrestling retirement lasts for good, but
this nigga is sending some shots in here. He don't probably mean it, but like this nigga sending some hardcore shots.
when Mick Foley was requested to resume his in-ring duties a mere 6 weeks after he had wrestled for what was believed to be his final time, he wasn't ready. Foley, who shared the spotlight with Triple H, The Rock, and The Big Show for the WrestleMania 2000 headliner, had indulged during his very brief hiatus from the World Wrestling Federation. Sadly, he couldn't move. He stumbled his way through the match, perhaps in pain, and was mercifully put out of his misery by the game after a grueling 19 minutes for both him and the viewing public. For contrast, The Big Show, who could go, was ousted just 5 minutes into the match. Mick had always been huskier than the average wrestler, but his performance here was god-awful, and definitely weren't at the level of a WrestleMania main eventer. Number 3, Jake Roberts.
I mean, honestly, yeah, like I said, coming off injuries, that would be like the death of you right there. Well, not the actual death, but like the death like in the wrestling ring type of shit. But man, like, I mean, yeah, Mick Foley has always been like a huskier dude, but like at least he had the type of, the aura to come with it when he's just throwing himself around. But getting injured from all of that is like, just from throwing himself everywhere. He used to always throw himself off of fucking cages and get hit. Oh my God, he had some of the most brutal hits.
Jake Roberts' slender build lent itself well to his portrayal of the Snake because he was as slick and as slimy as a reptile he carried down to the ring. He refused to work out in an attempt to maintain this build, thereby also separating him from the muscular, steroid-driven titans of the 80s. When he returned to WWF in 1996, though the Snake had now been cast
low-key, I was about to say that would have probably made him more healthy without taking steroids, but like, learning Jake the Snake Roberts' past, he has a lot of abuse.
As a stereotypical Bible preacher, was 40 to 50 pounds overweight, struggling to navigate his way through matches because of it, he continued to be booked favorably, most notably sharing the finals at the 1996 King of the Ring versus a pre-Stone Cold Steve Austin. However, he was ultimately fired by Vince McMahon, with his weight being the main cause for his dismissal. Though he never confirmed it, it's been widely believed that Roberts was hooked on drugs and alcohol during this stint, which is believed to have led to his sudden weight gain. Jake, though, has remained firm that he was sober during that time. Number 3, Sheamus. In 2025, and for much of his professional career, Sheamus' body has been abnormal for the WWE system. He is as barrel-chested as he is nimble on his feet, and he managed to maintain a physique that complements every opponent he came across. He pushed to his limits, and he pushes his workout partners to their limits. So what happened in April of 2024? Well, Sheamus returned from a 7-month sabbatical looking more rounded than fans were used to seeing. He wrestled with the same grip, but the definition in his body was truly lacking. Sheamus would mention that he was asked back sooner than he had expected, as he detailed in a Twitter post in a response to a wave of body shaming. Furthermore, the Irishman attributed his significant weight gain to a lack of motivation after missing out on challenging the then IC champion Gunther at WrestleMania 40. In an interview with Chris Van,
I don't know why a lot of WWE fans, like it's like jokes and all that shit. These niggas are probably like the most out of shape ass niggas on the fucking planet sometimes. And they choose to make fun of a wrestler when they're out of shape because like they kind of feel some type of way or try to be in on a joke. But like, they not knowing this wrestler could just get get their ass back into shape, or it was just like one of those things. He was disappointed, like, and was asked back too early. So you know, he whipped his ass back into shape. Fuck, that's why I fuck with Sheamus. Nigga has a whole channel dedicated to working out and asking people on there to work out.
He mentioned,
obviously, I put a load of weight on the burger after burger thing when they came back, because I was hoping to make the Mania. When that didn't happen, I kind of lost a little bit of discipline in my diet, and I just took the foot off the gas too much. That's on me, mate. I was pushing that match for Gunter at Mania, and it just didn't happen. So I was really hoping to end the trilogy on that note, and then that didn't happen. So I just kind of like, I lost a bit of motivation. It was like full on speed towards that, and then once I heard it, once that was kiboshed, yeah, I was like, fuck, whatever. So then I just kind of like took the foot off the gas, probably drank too many Guinness, enjoyed myself too much.
And number 1, Matt Hardy. Now, akin to his previous colleague Chris Jericho, Matt Hardy's always been in good shape. Well, apart from 2011. Hardy, who debuted for TNA in January of that year following his WWE release, carried what can only be described as a Homer Simpson-esque beer belly and rounded out face, with his stomach unceremoniously dangling over his wrestling attire in a most unflattering image. Now, this wasn't the case of Matt being lazy and indulging during his time off, though he had undergone surgery for a burst appendix a few years earlier, which had contributed to his weight gain in the latter years of his WWE tenure. He described his appendix issues in a post made to his WWE Universe blog in 2009, detailing them as a reoccurring problem. On a very interesting side note, 21st August 2009 marks the first time I've actually ever wrestled a match with an abdominal tear/hernia. When I was in 7th grade during a standard sports physical, I was diagnosed with an inguinal hernia on my lower side of my abdomen. The doctor that performed my surgery also informed me that I had an abdominal tear on my right side as well that would one day probably need to be corrected. Once I joined WWE and started on a full-time schedule, once every few months my intestines would slightly bulge or swell, and I would push them back in. A Matt's weight gain resulted in some mocking within wrestling circles, though it wasn't to the chagrin of Hardy, as one Halloween he embraced the otherwise vicious comments, donning a fat suit and chasing his wife Rebby, who was dressed as a cheeseburger.
Hey, that's fucking cool that Matt Hardy just like will be in on a joke. Even like I said, half of this is like due to just like people getting injured and people just like, you know, just getting a little lazy. But like to just get made fun of on the internet for like weight and shit is just the most annoying thing ever. And then you be having the most loser people, like I said, making fun of you, and they're out of shape all the fucking time. But hey, this was a good fucking list, because like some of these I knew, and then some of these I really didn't know, and it was really cool to like learn the reason behind like why people were out of shape. And you know, I didn't really know the reason behind why Sheamus was out of shape, but cool to learn the reason now. But hey, if you guys enjoyed that video, go check out WrestleMania, and if you like my other videos, go check out the WWE playlist. And I am out, and we are on road to 450.
He was the best guy around. What about the people he murdered? What murder?